Let me try to do some summarization here. I took some notes as I always do. I'll do my best to try to hit some highlights of what we heard here today. First of all, we were talking about examples. We talked about the fact that we're doing a lot of centralization of data. We're pulling a lot more data together into central, so we need ways to apply business analytics on that data to make sense. We heard about eyesight adoption from quite a few of the government folks here about that being an example of something that that needs to be done. We talked about data hub architectures that are changing the way that the architectures will exist. More, data hub as opposed to some of the traditional, big data marts kind of approaches. And I heard a lot about holistic approaches, looking at data holistically. On some of the specific things, we talked about the war fighter at the edge and getting the information to the edge so that they get the right information at the right time and how that actually impacts the saving lives and safety. We talked about cyber defense being an example where big data can play a major role for us. We talked about collaboration across and fusion centers. About by their very nature, the fusion center is a big data repository and a way to collaborate and push data out. Some of the lessons learned, what data to mine and how to find the right data amongst this massive amounts of data becomes a real challenge, as well as scaling. We have lessons about scaling. I think it changes the ways we looked at traditional storage. We heard a lot about Hadoop and a lot about new ways, because we now need to store both structured and unstructured data. Priorities, eyesight came up again. We talked about need for new models. This is different. It is going to require some new models, both as well as on the industry side, as the way you market to governments. Service level agreements will change. Procurement and acquisition clauses will change. More managed services kinds of approaches versus some of the traditional approaches. We heard about situational awareness being a high priority in being able to use this data to create that situational awareness. And of course, visibility, analytics, compliance, and human capital were brought into the equation as all priorities that need to be addressed. Challenges, we kicked it right off with cultural resistance. Anytime you're changing something, you have people set in their ways. And we talked about the need to show value, and again, the need for human factors, to have the right people in place that can take advantage of this. The future, we talked about the Internet of Things. We talked about visualization being important, and to be able to take advantage of all this data, we're going to need to be able to visualize it in such a way that it's easy to use, and that the new generation workforce will come in and be able to follow in your footsteps. With that, I'd like to turn and first of all thank our panelists from taking time out from your very busy schedule to share information with us. I feel like this is a big knowledge sharing event. Thank you for keeping me smart. I love doing this show and listening to smart people talk about these issues, because I feel like it makes us all smarter, sort of like none of us is as smart as all of us.